The knocking came at 1:17 in the morning, 3 slow knocks that sounded less like someone asking to come in and more like someone who had already run out of places to go. When Daniel opened the door, he froze. Standing beneath the porch light was Lily, his ex-wife's younger sister, soaked by the rain, her engagement ring missing, her mascara running down her cheeks. She looked at him with exhausted eyes and whispered, "I have nowhere left to go." Daniel stared at her. Because of all the people he expected to see that night, she was the last. She was family once, but after his divorce from her sister, he had spent years trying to forget every connection to that family. Yet there she stood, shivering on his doorstep, carrying nothing but a small suitcase and a broken heart. If stories about second chances, unexpected kindness, and people finding hope when they need it most touch your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs a little hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Sometimes the people who need a second chance are the ones we least expect to meet. Daniel stepped aside and let Lily enter. She apologized repeatedly for coming so late, but he could see that she was barely holding herself together. He gave her a towel, made tea, and found an old blanket. He did not ask questions at first. He remembered something his grandmother used to say, "When someone arrives at your door broken, give them warmth before you ask what broke them." Lily sat quietly on the edge of the couch, staring at the floor while rain tapped against the windows. Finally, she told him everything. Her fiancé, Marcus, had ended their engagement that evening. Not because he had stopped loving her, but because he had been hiding another relationship for almost a year. Lily had discovered messages, hotel reservations, and photographs. When she confronted him, he told her she was too trusting and too dependent on other people. Then he told her to leave the apartment because it was in his name. Lily had nowhere to go because her parents were traveling overseas, her friends had taken Marcus's side, and the only person she had thought might help was her sister, Daniel's ex-wife, Claire. But Claire had refused to answer. Daniel felt an old bitterness rise inside him. Claire had walked away from their marriage 3 years earlier, leaving behind unanswered questions and a mountain of emotional damage. Their divorce had been painful, and afterward Daniel had deliberately stayed away from her family. He had never hated Lily, though. In fact, Lily had been one of the few people who had quietly apologized to him after the divorce, even when she did not know the full story. She had once told him that she believed there were 2 sides to every broken marriage. Daniel had never forgotten that. He offered Lily the guest room. She thanked him, but before going to sleep, she stopped at the hallway and admitted something that made his heart ache. She said she was ashamed because she had spent years believing that having a perfect relationship meant having a perfect life. She had ignored warning signs because she was terrified of starting over. Now she did not even recognize herself. Daniel told her that starting over was not failure. Sometimes it was the first honest thing a person could do. The next morning, Daniel found Lily sitting at the kitchen table with her suitcase beside her. She had barely slept. She expected him to tell her she needed to leave, but instead he placed a plate of toast and eggs in front of her. He told her she could stay for a few days while she figured things out. Lily looked at him in disbelief. She asked why he would help someone connected to the woman who had hurt him so deeply. Daniel thought about it for a long moment before answering that pain did not have to become an inheritance. Claire had hurt him, but that did not mean Lily deserved to pay for it. Those few days became 2 weeks. Lily found a temporary job at a small design studio and began looking for an apartment. Daniel noticed small changes in her every morning. At first she barely spoke. Then she started laughing again. She began cooking dinner. She bought flowers for the kitchen because she said the house felt too quiet. Daniel realized that the person who had arrived at his door broken was slowly becoming someone stronger. But then Claire called. Daniel stared at the phone when her name appeared. Lily was standing nearby and immediately knew who it was. She begged him not to answer, but he did. Claire's voice was trembling. She had finally learned what Marcus had done and wanted Lily to come home. Daniel expected Lily to be relieved, but she was not. She said she could not go back to the same family that had ignored her when she needed them most. That night, Lily confessed another secret. She had not told Daniel the whole truth. She had discovered that Marcus had been secretly using her name to take out loans. The engagement had not simply fallen apart because of cheating. He had left her with financial problems that could destroy her future. She was terrified he would blame everything on her. Daniel immediately helped her contact a lawyer and gather documents. He did not rescue her by solving everything himself. Instead, he stood beside her while she learned to fight for herself. They spent evenings organizing messages, bank statements, and contracts. Lily slowly discovered that she was capable of more than she had ever believed. Weeks passed. Marcus eventually admitted to the financial fraud, and Lily was able to protect herself legally. She found a small apartment of her own and moved out. On moving day, Daniel carried the last box to her car. Lily looked at the house where she had arrived terrified and remembered the person she had been that night. She thanked him for opening the door. Daniel told her the truth. He said that opening the door had changed him too. Before she arrived, he thought kindness meant forgetting what people had done to you. Now he understood that kindness meant refusing to let someone else's mistakes turn you into someone cruel. Lily smiled through tears and handed him a small envelope. Inside was a photograph of the two of them laughing at the kitchen table during those difficult weeks. On the back she had written, "Sometimes family is not the person who shares your blood. Sometimes family is the person who opens the door when everyone else closes theirs." Months later, Daniel received another unexpected knock. This time, Lily stood there smiling, carrying a cake. She had a new apartment, a better job, and a life she had built herself. She was not returning because she needed saving. She was returning because she wanted to remind him that his kindness had mattered. Daniel looked at her and realized something he had never understood after his divorce. Not every relationship that enters your life is meant to stay forever, but every difficult chapter can teach you something about love, forgiveness, and the kind of person you want to become. And sometimes, the greatest second chance is not getting back what you lost. It is becoming someone who no longer needs to be rescued from the past. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes people can change, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness for more emotional stories about hope, compassion, and second chances. Before you go, comment, "Kindness opens doors," if you believe one small act of kindness can change someone's entire life. Because Daniel opened his door that rainy night expecting nothing in return, and in doing so, he discovered that sometimes the person who arrives asking for help is actually the person who helps you heal.